I didn't always know how to pray. I thought I did. I grew up hearing prayers in church. I knew the words, Dear God, Amen, forgive me, thank you, the usual. But it wasn't until everything in my life collapsed that I realized I had no idea how to actually speak to God. Not really. Not from the kind of place where your voice is cracked, your hands are trembling, and all your plans have just disintegrated. That moment came for me late one Tuesday night. The house was quiet, but my mind was screaming. My job had just ended. My relationship was over. I was drowning in anxiety and worse, shame. I had nothing left. And I thought to myself, maybe I should pray. But when I opened my mouth, nothing came out. Nothing. That night, I didn't need a church. I didn't need a sermon. I needed an encounter. I needed Jesus. And that's when I learned something no one ever told me growing up. There are some things your heart must do before your lips ever speak. Things that prepare your soul. Things that clear the noise, the pride, the clutter. Things that make room for Him. So if you've ever wondered why your prayers feel distant, flat, or like they're bouncing off the ceiling, stick with me. Because what I discovered changed the way I approach God forever. And the first thing, it shocked me. I thought prayer was about talking to God. But what I needed to do first was stop talking entirely. That night I walked outside. No phone, no shoes. Just cold grass beneath my feet and the sky above. And I stood there in silence. I didn't say a word. I didn't know what to say anyway, but something inside me whispered, be still and know. Psalm 46, verse 10. I had read that verse 100 times before, but I never understood it until now. Stillness isn't laziness. Stillness isn't passivity. Stillness is surrender. And if you want to truly meet Jesus, not just perform a religious ritual, that's where it begins. Stillness is the doorway. That night, I stood beneath the stars and let my heart settle. Let my thoughts slow. Let my panic breathe out. And in the stillness, something incredible happened. I didn't hear a voice, but I felt seen. I felt known. I felt loved. Not because of what I said, but because I finally shut up long enough to sense His presence. Friend, if your prayers feel cold, if you're begging for answers but hearing nothing, maybe the first thing you need to do is just be still. Don't worry about the words. Don't stress about the timing. Just sit, be still, and be with Him. And if that touches something deep inside you, let me say, you're not alone. This is exactly where real prayer begins. But that was only the first thing He showed me. There are 2 more steps, and the next one, it wrecked me. Because it required something I didn't want to give up. But we'll get there soon. So hit that subscribe button. Don't miss the next part. If you've ever prayed and felt nothing, you need to hear this, because Jesus isn't ignoring you. He might just be waiting for you to slow down and listen. I wish I could tell you that stillness fixed everything, but it didn't. Stillness only opened the door. And the moment I stepped through that door, I faced the second thing Jesus asked of me, and I fought it. Because the truth is, I liked the noise. It distracted me. It numbed me. It kept me from facing what was really inside. You see, silence is only peaceful once you've dealt with the chaos you've buried. And mine ran deep. So here's what happened next. After that night under the stars, I made it a habit to sit outside before bed. No phone, no distractions, just silence. And one night I felt something stirring, not in my ears, but in my chest. A question, not spoken out loud, but so loud I couldn't ignore it. Why do you keep hiding behind noise? I froze. Because He was right. Every time life got hard, I blasted music. I scrolled endlessly. I filled my space with other voices. Sermons, podcasts, movies, YouTube, even Christian content. And none of it was bad, but it was all noise. Noise that kept me from the one voice that mattered. His. That night, I cried. Not the pretty kind, the kind that feels like your soul is melting through your chest. Ugly, aching, honest tears. Because for the first time in years, I realized I hadn't really been with Jesus. I'd been around Him, I'd sung about Him, I'd even talked to Him, but I hadn't sat with Him. And that's the second thing you must do before you truly pray. Surrender the noise. Not just external noise, phones, screens, distractions, but internal noise, too. The voices of guilt, the soundtrack of shame, the relentless lies that say you're not enough. Jesus can't speak where we've let the world shout, and He won't compete. He waits patiently for you to turn it all off. So I did something radical. I turned off everything. No music, No sermons, no notifications, just 30 minutes before bed, silence. And I wrote down whatever came. The first few nights were weird. I kept checking my phone like a drug I wasn't ready to quit. But then, one night, I heard it. Not audibly, not out loud, but deep in my spirit like a whisper behind the wind. I never asked for perfection. I asked for presence. That line broke me, because I thought God was waiting for me to get it together before I could approach him. But no, he was waiting for me to come just as I was. Tired, scared, undone. And that moment of surrender, of silencing the world, that's when real prayer began. Not the kind where you speak at God, but the kind where your soul leans in and listens. Friend, if you've been waiting to feel God again, maybe you're not waiting at all. Maybe he's waiting for you to turn it off, to step away, to surrender the noise. Because the second thing I learned is this: you can't hear the whisper if you keep turning up the volume. That whisper, that's where he is. And when I finally quieted everything, I realized something that sent chills down my spine. He'd been speaking all along, in my tears, in my fears, even in my silence. I just hadn't made space for him to speak. But that leads to the final thing, and friend, it's the hardest one of all. Not stillness, not surrender, but something deeper. Something that shakes the foundation of your ego. And yet, it's the very thing that invites miracles into your life. So don't stop now. Subscribe, turn on notifications, because in the next part, I'll tell you what Jesus showed me when I gave him not just my time, but my trust. And what happened next? I'll never forget it. I wish I could tell you that after surrendering the noise, everything got easier, but it didn't. It actually got harder, because now, in the silence, in the stillness, there was nowhere left to hide. And that's when Jesus asked me for something even greater than my time or my attention. He asked for my trust, but not the kind of trust you offer with conditions or deadlines. No, he asked for the kind of trust that jumps before seeing the net. I remember the night clearly. I had just turned off all the lights. My phone was in another room, no sound, no distractions, just me and God. I had been journaling prayers for days, pouring my heart out, asking questions, begging for peace, and then like a rush of wind I couldn't explain, the third thing came, and it hit me like thunder in my chest. Trust me, like it's already done. What? I blinked, sat up, read it again in my spirit. Trust me, like it's already done. I didn't understand at first because nothing had changed on the outside. I was still broke, still behind on rent, still unsure about tomorrow. But the more I sat with that whisper, the more it made sense. Jesus wasn't asking me to believe that things might get better. He was asking me to live like they already had. He was calling me to walk in victory before the battle was even over. Like the story of Joshua marching around the walls of Jericho. The walls hadn't fallen yet, but they praised anyway. Or David running toward Goliath with nothing but a stone and a promise. Or Peter stepping out of the boat onto waves. Faith isn't just believing in God, it's believing him when nothing around you makes sense. So that night I did something radical. I got up and I danced. No one was watching, no music was playing, but I danced in my little living room like the chains had already broken, like the breakthrough had already come. Because deep inside, I knew. If I waited until it made sense, I'd never move. But if I moved in faith, heaven would move with me. That night, I fell asleep with peace I hadn't felt in years. Not because everything was perfect, but because my soul was no longer trying to control everything. And the next morning, I woke up to an email that changed everything. A job offer out of nowhere. I cried. Not because of the blessing, but because of the timing. God was never late. I was just learning how to trust him on time. So friend, here are the 3 things Jesus taught me before I could truly pray from a place of power. 1, be still. Let the noise fade and listen for his whisper. 2, surrender the noise. Make space for the only voice that matters. 3, trust like it's already done. Walk in faith before you see the answer. Not because you're naive, not because you're blind, but because you know who your God is. And once you've done these 3 things, prayer becomes something else entirely. Not a wish list, not a desperate cry, but a conversation with the one who already knows and still says, come. So if this touched you, please subscribe, because I believe someone needs to hear this just like I did. Maybe It's you. Drop a comment below. I choose to trust. Let's remind each other that faith isn't just a feeling, it's a decision. And if you're going through your own midnight hour right now, I want to say this. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. And your breakthrough may be just one surrendered prayer away. Good night, friend. Sleep in peace tonight. He's got this, and he's got you.